Hey, and welcome to the last UCL this week for the 2020-21 season's group stage. We'll go through who's in, who's out, and everything in between. And don't you worry, I know you guys will be asking for that reacting to my predictions video, so of course we will have that for you in just under 24 hours. Cool? Let's go. Paco will take over for now, but I'll be back later. Bayern Munich played basically a nothing match against Lokomotiv Moscow, and they gave some of the subs and the second choice guys a run. Well, actually they had a pretty strong lineup still, a good mix, which is a testament to the strength of their squad. I personally love seeing Alphonso Davies making his return, and he played quite well in his favorite left back position. Sula and Choupo-Moting with the goals, 2-0 Bayern over Lokomotiv. The other match, however, was the high-stakes fixture, as the extremely tricky RB Salzburg welcomed Atletico Madrid to Red Bull Arena, and there was the same old story for Salzburg, as they had plenty of opportunities, plenty of the ball, but just couldn't finish. Mind you, the opportunities they had weren't exactly clear-cut opportunities, not all of them at least, maybe one or two of them were. Szoboszlai was probably the most glaring miss of the bunch for Salzburg, as he was in clear and dragged it wide. Atletico Madrid had Mario Hermoso put them ahead in the 39th minute, as Yannick Carrasco's delivery at the near post was right on the money for a little flick from the Spanish defender. Great delivery, really difficult to deal with if you're a defender. That in-swinger to the near post. And that man Carrasco was involved again later, as he stepped into a side-footed strike beautifully before it touched the ground. 2-0 Atletico as they cruised into the round of 16. Salzburg will be missed, but they ultimately just lacked a bit of quality in the attack. And to me, perhaps indulged a bit in getting forward a little too much. But hey, that's why we love them, right? So, Bayern topped the group, Atletico in second, Salzburg drop into Europa. That's scary. And Lokomotiv are at the bottom. Real Madrid and Borussia Mönchengladbach were in the pole positions to advance in Group B, and Real Madrid probably played their best match yet in the group. Despite losing both matches against Shakhtar, they still ended up top of the group, Group B, thanks to a commanding 2-0 win over Gladbach. Gladbach didn't provide much in this match, a bit of a dud attacking-wise for them, while Karim Benzema, far from a dud for Real Madrid. His finishing was fantastic. I found Madrid's best players were their two fullbacks in Mendy and Vasquez, but a massive shout out to Rodrigo as well. His delivery for that first goal, very good. Coupled with Benzema's movement to lose his defenders, very good. Also, the return of Sergio Ramos, and like clockwork, Varane looks like a defender again. It's amazing what having that sort of leadership in your team can do. So a big performance from Real, not a big surprise though, as they are quite good at clutching things when they need to, in the Champions League especially. In the other match, either team could have advanced given the Real Madrid victory. All they needed was a victory themselves, and they would leapfrog Borussia Mönchengladbach. But Conte and Europe do not mix, and with Lukaku and Lautaro going missing in this match for the most part, the finishing from Inter in general going missing. I mean, the defense played okay, but a clean sheet is only good if you're scoring at the other end as well. In this scenario, at least. In most scenarios, at least. Inter and Shakhtar drew 0-0. Shakhtar drop into the Europa League. Real Madrid and Gladbach advance. Inter are out of Europe completely, last place. I guess they can just focus on the Serie A now. Group C, sorted already, sorted a while ago actually, but for those curious minds that want to keep track of things, Porto went away to Olympiacos and won 2-0. That's a great result for them. They've had a fantastic campaign, man. Oh, what? Is it wrong for me to say that? Please, it's just a fact. They had a really good campaign. You can't begrudge them of that. Man City also completed their group stage with a victory over the basement boys Marseille. A bit shocked at how poor Marseille were, but anyway, City with another comfortable victory for the most part. 3-0. John Stones looked solid once again, this time partnering Laporte. Another goal for Ferran Torres, fourth in the Champions League. Aguero did come on later, which was nice to see if you're a City fan, and he looked like an absolute unit, man. Guy has beefed up in his time away, but he grabbed a goal. So, City top, as you already knew, Porto second, as you already knew, Olympiacos take third, and Marseille last place. In Group D, Liverpool took the week off in some ways, as they played plenty of second stringers. But you know, I mean, they also had some first choice players out there, and they got absolutely dominated by Midtjylland. The Danish side knew their fate, and they went out with a bang, man. No, they didn't win, but they played their hearts out and got themselves a draw. and with some luck, maybe they would have won their first Champions League campaign, and they finish it with 2 draws up the Wolves. Not those Wolves, these Wolves. Now, the other match in Group T had a ton of importance to it. Atalanta went away to Ajax with a spot in the next round on the line. Atalanta, of course, they've had some drama lately, with Gasperini trying to resign last week, but he's clearly stuck around, and Atalanta got the result they needed to move on. I mean, a draw would have been enough, but they went ahead and defeated Ajax away, thanks to Luis Muriel coming on as a substitute, as per usual, and rounding Onana. 1-0 for Atalanta. They haven't been as convincing as last season, but there's still time for them to find themselves. Meanwhile, Ajax will drop into the Europa League and be one of the teams nobody will want to draw. So Liverpool top, Atalanta second, Ajax in third, and Midtjylland in fourth. Me again. Group E had nothing to figure out really. One of those groups we could almost skip over completely, but Chelsea drew 1-1, just so you know, at home against Krasnodar, and Sevilla beat Rennes 3-1 away. Rennes were so much worse than I expected in this Champions League season. I really thought let's be honest, I thought they were going to take third, but so yeah, Chelsea finished top without a loss to their name, Sevilla in second, Krasnodar into the Europa League, and Stade Rennais in fourth. To quote Fabrizio Romano, here we go, a group that had something to sort out. First of all, Borussia Dortmund had to come from behind against Zenit. They really didn't look convincing in this match, did they? Especially on the day that Youssoufa Moukoko became the youngest player to ever step onto a Champions League pitch. By the way, I did a little bio on him. You should definitely check that out, because his scoring record at the youth level is just incomprehensible, often playing against guys 3, 4, 5 years older than him. Sebastian Driussi put Zenit ahead in the 16th minute with a well-worked goal. Not the cleanest of strikes to finish it off, but the build-up was well done from the Russian side. Dortmund nearly equalized before the half was up as Marco Reus nearly curled one into the far corner, but was denied by the post. They got one back. They got back into it via Lukasz Piszczek, of all people, as he pounced on a rebound to level, and just 10 minutes later, Axel Witsel scored against his old side to give Dortmund the win and ensure they'll be taking first place, numero uno, ahead of Lazio. And speaking of Lazio, they had a hell of a time against Club Brugge. Honestly, if Brugge can continue to play as they did in this competition, they'll be a tough team to beat in the Europa League because, spoiler alert, they couldn't get the victory they needed to overcome Lazio. But man, were they ever close. Because considering they were 2-1 down and 1 man down after 38 minutes, the fact that they got anything from this game is impressive. Joaquin Correa with the opener, he nearly beat Mignolet shortly after that for Lazio as well. Ruud Vormer brought the Belgians level, and Charles de Ketelaere nearly put them ahead before Immobile was brought down clumsily, and he of course converted, as he more often than not does. Edouard Sobel, as mentioned, got himself sent off for Brugge in the 38th minute, but honestly he could have been sent off earlier with the amount of fouls that he was tossing out there. But still, a great fight back from Brugge, capped off with Hans Van Aken scoring in the 76th minute, and de Ketelaere hitting the bar in the 92nd minute. So unfortunate, they would have leapfrogged Lazio with that, and just with 10 men as well. 2-2 the final, Brugge just inches away from the round of 16. So Borussia Dortmund finishes in first, Lazio squeaks by in second, Brugge in third, and Zenit in last place. Group G needed to sort out who was dropping into the Europa League as Dinamo and Ferencváros fought for that honor. Last time these two met, they actually played out a thrilling match where the Hungarian side got an equalizer right at the last. This time, however, playing in Ukraine, Dynamo Kiev got the winner with Denis Popov in the 60th minute. They will be moving on to the Europa League. Welcome. Join us. And then, of course, we had the friendly match between Juve and Barcelona, a tie for Barcelona, and they would finish top, while Juve needed a big win to top Barcelona in this group. Oh, and of course, it was one of the last times we will likely see Ronaldo and Messi on the same pitch. Fun stuff there. Unfortunate the stakes were so low in this one. The only thing up for grabs was first place, as mentioned before. Ronaldo definitely left a bigger mark on this match, at least on the score sheet, as he converted 2 penalties in Juve's 3-0 win, but Messi played quite well for Barcelona. It's just he has no one else to work with. Weston McKennie's goal was a real stunner. Again, great service from Cuadrado as he continues to have an excellent season. And Barcelona didn't look too awful in the build-up, but their final ball was terrible, and their defense is shambles without Piqué. And another match, another mistake from Lenglet, man. And that's ultimately what cost them lately. So a big win for Juve, revenge for that 2-0 loss in Turin when Ronaldo was out due to COVID. They take first, Barca second, Dinamo third, and Ferencváros fourth. Manchester United's fate was in their own hands as they went away to RB Leipzig needing just a draw to advance. Just a draw. Playing for a draw is always a dangerous game, and given the shape that Ollie went with 5 at the back or 3 at the back while attacking if you prefer, 2 holding midfielders, the thing is, straight off the hop, they weren't attacking. Not for a long time, actually. It took them a good 20 minutes or so to do anything notable in the attack, and they were already 2-0 down at that point because of their negative approach to the match. Leipzig really addressed their issue from the first match in which they were playing with an extremely high line. As someone said to me on Twitter, they had practice this past weekend against Bayern Munich. While Man United adopted some completely disorganized defense. They were far too narrow, with diagonal balls picking out Angelino and Haidara far too easily. Maguire and Lindelof couldn't sort out who was marking who. Despite all of the defensive-minded players on the pitch, they couldn't defend worth a damn in that first half. And at times in the second half as well. But at least in the second half, United started attacking a bit more. Perhaps Leipzig pulled back a little bit in the second half as they were 2-0 up already, but they still went 3-0 up thanks to a Justin Kluivert scoop. I mean, United were much better in the second half attacking-wise, but the threat of poor defending was always there, just as it has been all season. And the threat of confusing substitutions is always there as well. And I'm sure there's people in the comments that can explain the tactical decisions to me, but I'm just a little bit curious here. You're losing 2-0, and you take off Telles for Van de Beek. Cool, I get that. Change the shape a bit. Maybe, even though he ended up playing down the left as well. So, a slight change. Okay, now you're 3-0 down, and you take off a defender for another defender. Wan-Bissaka for Fosu-Mensah. Then Tuanzebe for Lindelof, another defender for defender. I'm sorry, but what? How does this make sense when you're 3-0 down on the verge of elimination and have attackers on the bench? United did make it interesting as they got a penalty, then Konate directed a Pogba header into his own goal, but that was it. No matter the PSG result, United are out of the Champions League on head-to-head and will be back in the Europa League once again. You know, Benfica versus United would actually be a decent matchup. 2 teams that absolutely loathe the idea of defending. It's optional for both of us. Now, as for the PSG versus Istanbul match, that was, of course, abandoned upon their first attempt at playing it. There's a lot I don't know about this, and I wait for the investigation, but here's what I will say. Should the official be referring to people as the black guy or the black one, even if there is no malicious intent behind it in their own language? No, I don't think that you should, nor do I think that you should be surprised when someone reacts with that sort of anger to their interpretation to what is almost the same word in English. If that word is offensive in another language, sure, there is some ignorance involved from the Romanian guy, but I don't know that ignorance puts you in the clear, you know? Now, the investigation is ongoing, of course, and there's another aspect to this in that a voice was heard saying, "In my country, Romanians are gypsy, but I cannot say gypsy." He was saying that to one of the referees. Now, the Romanian referees also claimed that someone from the Istanbul bench was calling them gypsies from the second minute onward, which of course is xenophobic. And let me be clear, I'm not saying this to undermine either side of the argument. Both racism and xenophobia have no place in this world, and 2 wrongs absolutely do not make a right. Provocation, if there was some, doesn't give you a free pass for racism at all. So I guess I'm saying this, even if it had no malicious intent, a referee should be sensitive to the fact that the word they used could be interpreted by its English meaning and should avoid using that word and not identify people by skin color. Just don't do that. It's easy enough to identify people in other ways. On top of that, if the allegations are true that the referees are being called gypsies from the second minute on, that should also be condemned. It's a sad situation of humans just letting each other down once again. There are other words you can use, other ways to identify people. Hey, so Editor Adrian checking in here. I just wanted to provide a little update. I think the overarching sentiment still stands, but this is a helpful little thing that I found. So this journalist says he spent 3 hours listening to a clean feed from the 50 Minutes of Madness in the game between PSG and Besiktas on Tuesday, and here's what I found. I'm not going to go through all of it, but he has gone minute by minute from minute 9 onward, showing everything, showing that it might not have been Coltescu that was actually saying what offended Weibo. Yeah, it's definitely worth going through. He has pictures, everything, minute by minute, the entire ordeal. It doesn't mention anything about, the Romanian officials being called gypsies from the second minute on, so we'll see what happens with the UEFA investigation, whether or not that actually happened, as the Romanian referee said that it had. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's a developing story. Back to whoever's hosting. But from that very disappointing situation, we had one positive come from it. When the allegation was made, for once, we had two teams standing in solidarity. Both teams. How many times have we seen racist incidents where one player, such as Balotelli, tries to walk off the pitch and his teammates try to make him stay on the pitch, thus not supporting him at all, leaving him alone out there? So we'll get more clarity in the future. There was microphones everywhere, so they should have enough information. But regardless of the outcome, hopefully people learned a lesson. Now, the match did go ahead 24 hours later, and PSG smashed Başakşehir 5-1. Not that the match made a difference, besides PSG moving up to first instead of second. RB Leipzig, the runners-up, united in third, and Başakşehir in last. Alright guys, as mentioned, we shall have the reaction to my predictions coming out tomorrow. If memory serves me right, you know what? I won't ruin it. You'll just have to tune in. My name's Adrian, this is Rabona TV, and we'll see you soon. Ciao!